Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Albert, and welcome back to the last review of this season. I hope everyone had a great season. I'll be reviewing 3 games today. Yeah, and I'll just go ahead and get started. Since I think Brett is here, so I'll start with his game. I've just quickly looked at it just now, and it looks like it was kind of a bloodbath for black. So it's a nice win by Brett. Let's see. So kind of standard opening, that was fine. Black's first mistake was this diagonal cut. I'm not super sure what Black's plan was because shape-wise it seems usually Black want to cut from this direction, but of course this is just too early because the ladder doesn't work. Overall, Black should just not play in this area right now. Right, and then these don't get captured. And then already Black is in a very dire situation. The one thing I'll critique for White is this move is probably not ideally placed. In this type of shape, White want to push here because if Black were to get this turn, there's definitely liberty shortage because of this exchange earlier. So White's weakness here is this turn. And notice once Black turn here, there's no good response for White because there's liberty shortage, so Black can just keep getting sente moves. And all of a sudden the bottom looks very promising for Black. So if White wants to play locally, start with this push. Sometime maybe here, but I recommend this push because it also takes away some liberty for Black. So for example, if Black Hane, White can cut. And if Black extends, then White already strengthened this group in sente. And the next move can either be another push or just Kema. So here, it's not necessarily so much of a reading issue, but I think Black also made a tactical mistake. So let's say you make some move, you realize, oh, you mess up, a few stone died. And at this point, you should figure out how to minimize your loss. So I think in the game, Black didn't really do a great job because Black continued to play locally. The best way after to manage a loss situation is to generally to play away, to leave the situation, because then you will maximize the Aji. Jumping ones might be okay, but this extra exchange I would say is unnecessary. And most likely, if at this point Black realized, oh, this is dead, I think Black should just Tenuki. Because you don't want to lose like more stones than necessary. And actually at this point, maybe White didn't even play the optimal move. Perhaps White can choose to separate Black. So in this case, Black cannot connect back to the corner. But of course, connecting here is already a very good result for White. So we'll continue to see what happens. Attaching here is generally not as good as a shoulder hit because you give White a really nice Hane. When you attach, you always worry about a Hane. So I think White actually should Hane here instead of the extension. This is a slightly slack. The end result is still okay for White, but I think it's because Black didn't make this push. Pushing here will create a cutting point. So White most likely has to fix, and this will give Black more breathing room on the side. So here, White gets a turn here, and at this point, White's shape is pretty strong, and Black didn't really gain too much. So this shape is decent for White. It's because Black didn't take the vital point. So if White didn't Hane, Black should push up, and later Black missed a chance to push up, then White takes the vital point by turning. Okay, so game continues. At this point, I think pushing ones might just be out of habit. It doesn't necessarily serve a purpose. So if you look at this corner, White's shape is pretty strong, and notably, White can always capture this zone for life. So White's not really in shortage of a eye shape or anything, and there's still a possibility of extension. So in this local area, white is stronger than black. And pushing really just strengthens black for no good reason, especially after black already make an extension. I would say without the ace zone, this push would be more acceptable because then white can maybe play, let's say, like k16 or k17, have a nice extension. But now the path to expand to the top is more or less cut off. So white should focus on profiting on the left. An easy way is just to invade, whether here or maybe even here. So notice the black blocks, you can push up. This is a pretty aggressive move, but the idea is as soon as white can separate the two black groups, both sides will be pretty heavy. And you can see, right, if black extend, you can push again. Black has two weak groups, white has one. This is a useful shape to know. Versus this invasion, oftentimes black can attach and at least survive by connecting everything. This is harder for white to profit. Black can even extend again. So white gains some points, but black's group is still fairly safe. Okay, so invasion. Okay, let me get rid of the A. Okay, so here, this is a directional mistake. When we invade, we should always aim for something. Usually, invading in areas like this, you want to go for a shoulder hit, attachment, or you can shoulder hit this side. Sometimes you can also go higher, but the two space low, like splitting two space from either stone is pretty rare. Because you're not putting enough pressure on any group. So even if black tenuki now, there's no strong follow-up. Even white jumps here, both sides are still pretty far away. So it doesn't put a lot of pressure on black. And notice in this board position, white is super strong on the outside. So I really wonder whether there's a need to invade here. Not that white cannot invade later, but what is white's goal at this point, right? Because if white plays another big point, black cannot really expand up because white is so strong in the center. So all we're talking about here is territory on the second line. And if you look at only the second line, I basically talk about this every review. If you only destroy the second line territory, it's only literally 10 points that we're talking about. So the value is not that big. There's not that much value there. The only thing white can gain from invading is attacking black. But in this state, it's probably still a little too early. So if white invade here, I can see a situation where white attack black. But given the bottom side is still so empty, I think white can hold off on this. Conceptually though, it's important to understand that if white invades the top, this is not a reduction, this is an attack. If you treat this as a reduction, then honestly, this extension is even bigger than destroying the upper territory, right? If you play here compared to black taking the second line territory, I'll say white got even more on the right side. So this is a very important takeaway. Oh, and in some situation, you do invade within a two space extension, like here. This usually arises when black is super strong on the outside. So let's say there's a wall here, there's a wall like there, and then you try to make shape in make life in the black's moyo. So you invade in this position because then you give yourself an attachment point on either side. So this can help white create some flexible shape to make two eyes, or maybe get a ko. So you play here when you're super weak, not when you're super strong. Okay, moving along. Yeah, here black cap, but it is not really in the right direction. So black shape is basically broken here. Whenever you have a shape where you're pushing out through the middle and your opponent are pushing against you on either side, you're doing really well, because basically half of your opponent's stone will be useless. Like in this case, these two stones don't really do much versus, and also here. This is too direct. If black wants to do something like this, black can just jump here instead. So black can just escape out towards the center. This will be at least be okay for black. Notice the cap stone earlier at A here. This stone slowed down white's escape to the center because white had to spend 2 moves here. And if black didn't play here, white will just make an extra jump. So notice white can get to this point, but in this variation, white is basically pulled back by 1 line. So you can utilize this strategy when you play the cap. But in general, you shouldn't expect to seal white with a cap like this because there's just not enough stones on the outside to make it happen. Yeah, so now black shape is a little broken. I'll say for white here, just jump towards the center. That'll be fine. Well, white doesn't need to help black play any moves. Okay, so black makes this extension to try to fix this cut. But honestly, that still doesn't fix it. I think black is better off to turn here because this takes away white's eyes. And also next Atari Sente. So now black shape is pretty strong. And if white doesn't do anything in the center, there's still a chance for black to attack this group at some point, as if black can cut off the right side. So I think this will be the right direction. If black really wants to fix on the top, I think jumping one space jump might be the best shape. Yeah, here doesn't really fix the cut, so black play here immediately, which was nice. And I think after this, the game was pretty much over because something died here. Right, again, just like before, black shape is broken. White just pushed through the middle, and then both groups from black have liberty shortage issues. Right, there's even this wedge, very nice. And now the 3 zones are captured. And even the bottom is also not alive. And looking at it now, even if it's black's turn to play, it's not very easy for black to live necessarily. Black has to make a bad exchange here, and then I guess play here. Or I guess at the very least, this move will make 2 eyes, but it's also at a huge cost. So white is doing really well. Here, there's no reason not to extend forward because that gives you an extra cut. Okay, at this point, I think white should look at the life and death situation and consider carefully. White can either respond in the center or try to kill the top. Any move around here will basically kill this group. Right, and black just didn't really get anything in the fight, and everything here died. Right, at this point, I don't know why black's try to save this stone, because the top is still owing a move, and also same with the center. Right, so white even captured the center, so it was a pretty clean game for white overall. No obvious mistake for white even, so it was a really nice move. Pretty decent moves throughout, accurate reading. The only 2 moves I'll advise white to give more thought is the invasion and maybe the earlier Akema. And then the upper left, maybe think about the Hane here. If people have any questions, feel free to just interrupt me. Otherwise, I can just move on and maybe come back.
Could I just ask a question about the stone at A, the M17? So I made the push at D14. Just to set up, I really just wanted to attack the J17 stone, right? I wanted to try to use some of the influence I had. Is that just not a reasonable thing to do at this point, that J17 stone? Like, I kind of wanted to push it towards my big group on the right, right?
Okay, so it's an excellent idea. So you're right in terms of your approach, but I think my advice to you is look at the bigger fish. Would you want to attack one stone or like the whole group on the left? And what can you gain by attacking? you're not going to kill J17, and you will not get a big territory from attacking it. So the most of the thing you gain is maybe a little bit in the center, and then you're destroying Black's territory, which is in the neighborhood of 10 points. Versus on the left, if you can cut off one side, let's say you can kill this stone, this will be way more than 10 points. And if you can kill this group, then that would be 20, 30 points. So I think you just have a lot more to gain by attacking the left side. Also pushing here, first, you're committing to a territory loss. So you're putting down the investment, and it's harder to say if you can really get it back.
I see. And is the double wing that Black has, is it not really that concerning at this point?
What do you mean, like here?
No, I mean like just the fact that Black has the double wing there. Is it not a very urgent thing relative to other things? Yeah, that, right.
Right, so this type of formation is more scary when Black has potential to expand up towards the center. So let's say you take a big point. I think expanding here will be very reasonable, or if you play something like this, assuming you don't want to play anything on the left. Normally Black will want to play something like this, or expand toward the center. But in light of the thickness in the center, anything towards expanding up will be a little silly for Black. If Black play here, you just shoulder hit, and Black will be compressed to the second line very soon. So no matter what Black do, basically the best case scenario is getting territory on the second line. This is basically as good as it can get for Black, because you're so strong in the center. And of course you have much more, you have stronger attacks too that you might be able to pull. But because the bottom is so empty and you have bigger targets on the left, I think it's not as urgent. So if you, let's say like several moves later, if everyone is safe like this, for example, and then of course you can think about invading. But I think it's at this stage where you will try to think about invading the top, not before any of the other groups are settled.
Okay, cool. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah, so honestly, just look at the most empty part of the board. That should just be your go-to. The only exception is if there's major life and death or thickness considerations. In this game, I think the major consideration will be on the left. But if you ignore that, then clearly the bottom will be the biggest. The top is just not as urgent because Black has only one stone. If you play here and Black Tanuki, Black is probably still okay. So it just doesn't have the same type of urgency. The last thing I'll point out is this stone is a lot lighter than the group on the left because there's only one stone. It's easier for Black to potentially sacrifice that versus the left. Yeah, okay, I'll go to the next game, but if people have more questions on here for this, I'm happy to come back later. But yeah, overall, great win, very clean win for White here. Wow, it was another kind of a blowout, 80 points. Okay, so fairly normal opening. Nowadays, we don't split down the middle as often because we recognize the corner as just a little bit more valuable. So this is not as common. Maybe you want to approach, or you can just attach the corner directly. For like a 4Q, 5Q game, it doesn't really matter. These are still mostly just stylistic preferences. If you run this through the AI, you might lose upwards of 1 point, but in the opening, that's not that will not decide your game. Okay, what I will point out is moves like this. White is giving up initiative very early. This move doesn't directly do anything, and I think it just gives Black seizes too much ground. So I think after the approach, White's corner is to put under a little pressure, so it will be pretty natural to strengthen the corner. I think kicking will be normal, and then if White jump up, then White can simultaneously secure the corner and also put some pressure on Black. Later, potentially invade in the bottom or put pressure on top by a shoulder hit. This move just doesn't put as much pressure because black can still take away the corner, whether here or here. Okay, so some shape issues here as well. Black doesn't want to make this attachment because this attachment really helps white secure the corner. And then after white's extension, it's hard for black to invade the corner. So if white wants to respond locally, pushing is best because that also weakens white's corner here. In this type of shape, I think 9 out of 10 times you should just Atari without thinking, because you're making a dumpling shape for your opponent. This is an empty triangle. If black wants to Atari the bottom, white can capture. This type of Panuki is very powerful in the opening. Or even white can connect here. So white has a very strong shape on the outside. Extending is just slack for no real purpose at this point, because if white can connect or the Atari, there's no reason to extend. Yeah, and then black still got the Atari. Actually, black at this point can cut here and then just capture the stone. I think white is still okay overall because black made an earlier mistake, but at least black captured 2 stones. And now has a living shape. So I think black would be a lot better off playing this way. Right, okay. This is an interesting move. I think it's the earlier trick move. Basically, if white plays here, black can wedge. Yeah, and then if the ladder works for black, I think in this case it does. Black can escape here. And this fight will most likely favor black. Right. And then black white Atari here. This revert back to the Joseki, a different Joseki. But black is generally happy to take the outside. The typical response to this move is to Tenuki, actually, because black also doesn't have a great follow-up. I think white can choose this strategy at this point. But responding once, that's fine too. I think pushing here is important because that this will be a nice exchange for white. And if white Tenuki and black gets this push, then white's corner is still under some pressure. Okay. In the opening, remember to keep track of the corner. Corner is the biggest. Unless there's some unique circumstance. At this point, we don't really see that. So I would recommend black to play closer to the corner. Maybe kick and jump, or at least just have a one space jump. The 2 space, the problem with the 2 space jump is when white invades the 3-3, there's no good follow up. Well, white can very easily take the corner. Oh, and here, just a little technical thing. White should push again, because if black will respond. In this case, black will most likely still respond, and white can play this way. This is still a sente move. Compared to this shape, black can get a sente turn. So notice this has huge implications on the territory here. So white's territory might not be different, or maybe white lost a point, but black gained several points. Also, white lost a peep exchange, so black's shape is stronger. A little technical thing here again. This type of move doesn't matter too much, but maybe you will add up here and there. In the game, white plays the tiger's mouth, but in a lot of situations, actually connecting is better, because when you play the tiger's mouth, you're giving black this sente. This move is sente against the corner now. Hopefully people know this classic way to kill. We have 3 people watching. Does any of you know? I want to point out, how can black kill the corner? Just speak up or type in the chat. Many people are shy. So this is a classic life and death. The Tetsuji here is to throw in. Yeah, throw in and then the 1-2 vital point. This is a bend 4 shape and is dead. So definitely commit this to memory. It will show up many times. On the other hand, if white connect here, this descent is not that scary. So this is an L shape with 2 turns. Normally this is alive, but with this move here, it's locally a ko. Actually, here it does not even a ko. It's a ko when there's a descent here. So locally, white is still alive. Notice sometimes black can start a ko like this, but here there's still some liberty issues. Okay, so white is still alive. And if black plays here, white can play the kosumi. And if white plays here, white can play this move. Notice the jump might not work because of issues like this. So this is the subtle difference between Tiger's Mouth and Connect. Okay, so extension is reasonable. Shoulder hit. These are okay moves. So here is also a habit thing. In this type of shape, basically white should panuki 9 out of 10 times. Because you don't want to give your opponent a profit on the second line and then still have the option of running out the ladder or having some aji on the side. So just cleanly panuki, and notice at this point white can tenuki again. Right, these will be big moves or maybe extend to the side or do whatever. White will not respond locally again. From black's perspective, let's see, this ladder doesn't work, so it's maybe black should consider different moves earlier. But locally speaking, black can still push here. If white captures, black can push out. This will be a different fight. And if white extends, then the aji here is still really bad. Notice at this point when black Atari, the 2 pushes weaken white shape a lot. So this will be a better result for black than the game. And locally at this point, I think the natural move is for black to Atari on this side because white has 2 groups. So black really wants to split white's 2 groups and attack one side. So let's say Atari, and then maybe black will give up the corner. So if white wants a corner, black can just leave it. So let's say even this way, or even just Hane and then connect on the outside. So something like this, where black sacrifices a little in the corner, but now white's shape on the outside is pretty weak. This is also something to consider. Yeah, so at this point, white seal black into the corner. I think overall this is a decent result for white. And black jump. This is a nice move though, expanding the bottom. Okay. Yeah, both sides try to just get a lot of territory. It's a pretty interesting exchange actually. I think at this point, white can consider moves that's not as direct. So white's goal is to reduce the center, the right side to the bottom. So maybe consider doing something on the right. So let's say this shoulder hit and then attach. If black responds here, then white will definitely have more leverage coming in from this direction. White can go a little deeper. If black plays something over here, then it's still pretty comparable to the game, but white gets to profit in the corner, over somewhere over here. This is bigger than it looks actually. Almost a Comey difference. And earlier at this point, I think white should really think about where the territory is. So pushing a few times, this has become territory for black. White does have a good framework on the left, but it's a little easier for black to go in. Yeah, in the game this is similar as well. The other option for white is to, I think, go with something like this. And on the left, there's still a chance for black to push. If white blocks, then the cut might be hard to deal with for white because the Aji is really bad. And at the very least, black can get a clamp. So if white really wants to get a territory on the left, actually making a cut exchange, it would be really nice. Because after the cut exchange, black can no longer clamp. White can Atari and Sente. So white only has to worry about the cut. And if white can make sure the outside is strong enough, then white can just defend against this cut. Yeah, overall, the game is still pretty good for white, because earlier in the top left, white gained a little bit, and later in the bottom left. So notice both sides are getting a good amount of territory in the center, but the top left for white is just a lot bigger than anything black has. Okay, let's look at the invasion. So white got an okay result by finally connecting everything, but I think black could have done better. When your opponent try to reduce your moyo, I think it's important to keep in mind that you don't want to just keep falling back like black is doing. See, black is Hane, playing the Hane here, blocking here, and then just basically try to protect the territory. So black started off with this at the formation here, and then fell back to this line, and even lost the territory on the right. At this point, black should try to launch a counterattack. Maybe even cut from here. So notice black can actually separate the corner from the center. White's still owing a move here, and then black can continue to attack. In terms of the center, nothing has really changed. Later, if black gets Sente and play the Hane, the result will be almost identical to the game, but black can have some initiative to attack the corner first. And that will be more scary for white too. Maybe even push here again, and then try to attack. Notice white doesn't have a lot of eye shape in this area. If black feels like he's a little behind, this will be a good chance to make the game messier. Okay, so I wonder why didn't block. Yeah, so this is actually still a close game at this point. I guess my earlier assessment that white was slightly ahead was somewhat incorrect, but it's a close game. It will definitely be decided in endgame. So that's worth discussing for a little bit. Yeah, white tried to take the big endgame here, which is fine. Honestly, locally, descending will be a little better. But in terms of the best endgame, I think black should push. And then maybe Hane, and then extend here. Black's biggest liability is to make sure the top right, the center group is alive, which is probably going to be okay. It's probably going to be okay for now. So the biggest endgame will just be in the corner, so top right. this Hane is not as big because when white gets this move, it also basically damages the right side. So in effect, black's not really gaining that much. Versus if it's white's turn, the result will be pretty similar. White will maybe just descend and then play here like this. It's pretty similar either way. Yeah, and I do realize sometimes the AI valuation will be different from mine. And in this case, obviously, if you look at the AI valuation, go with AI. My role here is to point out some thought process moves you can also consider. But of course, I am not the AI, so my evaluation will not be completely accurate. Right, so after black connecting back here, I think black caught up. Or maybe expand his lead a little. Because this is a very big reverse endgame that white missed. Okay, looks like the problem this game is the upper side died. Okay, so right, this move is the losing move. Black can still live from here. Right, this is a connected. For white, actually, white should have peep earlier. I think as long as white can get a peep, black is in trouble. Just like before, this is a very basic shape. Everyone should commit this to memory. You have kind of a bend shape with the box of 6 plus an extra extra space here. This shape is dead in all time because this is a bend 5 shape. The only exception is if black has a Hane, and then there will be a Seki. So notice if white tries to destroy black's eye here, black can play here, make an eye. When white connects, black can capture the tail. So this is alive. So without Hane, it's dead. With one Hane on the shorter end, it's alive. On the long end, it doesn't actually matter. This doesn't actually matter. This shape is still dead. If black descend here, white can kill by playing this move. Yeah, so that was black's downfall. Otherwise, it was still a pretty close game. Oh, and a little bit on endgame on the left. Earlier, I thought... let's go back. Yeah, earlier I thought black should push, but upon a closer look, actually this is the Tetsuji move is to Kosumi. Notice if white tries to wedge here, black can jump, and now a lot of territory will be destroyed. It's not easy for white to separate, to block this group, actually. If black Kosumi, black can continue to push, because black can cut. So white is in trouble this way. If white plays here, then black can attach from the first line. And notice this is a very big Sente endgame. That's why if white doesn't want to do anything towards the corner, against the corner, having this cut exchange is very important. Now, the best thing black can do is to either push or still Kasumi, but notice white can block here, or at the very least play this move. Compared to the other result, this will be at least 2 points better. Right, notice, so white has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points here. Compared to this variation, this is only 5 points. Yeah, so the game suddenly ended when the top group died. So in endgame, please double check your life and death. If you have earlier weaknesses, be sure to take care of them. A lot of times, endgames will become bigger or smaller depending on how they affect the life and death. Is there any question about this game? If not, I'll move on to the last game. All right, cool. Yeah, thanks, Bob. Okay, so black won this game. Takes looking. Oh, seems like another endgame tragedy. But it was a close game, a small win for black, and then it spiked out of control. So let's see what happened. Okay, standard opening so far. I think sacrificing this stone was just not a great idea in the opening. It sometimes work in special situation, but you don't want to sacrifice the stone like this because it's like you had a 2-space extension and you allow your opponent to basically cut through the middle. So if this is really black's plan, then there's no point of playing the pincer. Black can just play here, or let's say black play here, white play here. This is pretty similar result anyway. Right, so already I think black is slightly down because the efficiency is not super high. At this point, I think white should connect. This will put more pressure on black versus extending toward the center. Notice there's liberty shortage later when black Kane. And black should consider playing just capturing the cornerstone. This is an easy way to live and also reduce the corner. Yeah, now white gets a Sente in the center and then Tenuki and fixes a corner. I think this is a nice move. Here, if white wants to fix the shape locally, probably the bamboo. Jumping still leaves Aji for Atari and the wedge. Connecting doesn't really make a lot of sense because there's no cut to begin with. That just seems like a slow move. Black should, yeah, Tenuki and take the play on the right side. This is the biggest move. By wasting another move here, white can attack the right side and seize initiative, or maybe play in the corner, came out. Yeah, I think these are all possible. Okay, white chooses to invade the bottom. It's also possible, but I think given that white is strong in the top and black's corner is still a little empty, I think it's most natural for white to do something in the upper right first. Okay, but we'll see what happens. Okay, nice. This is a very common Tsuji, very common Joseki. But one issue is normally the follow-up is pushing here. But notice black's formation is definitely better because black can get to save the weak group in upper right, and white they can't really get much in the bottom. So this is a prime example of the importance of synergy when choosing Joseki. Oftentimes this attachment works for white, but in this case it's hard for white to continue because the synergy isn't there. So white plays the 1-space jump, which is not standard Joseki. So black can even play here to attack this group. So let's say black try to attack and then come back. So notice black lost a little in the bottom, but easily transfer the moyo, the potential to the right side. Yeah, so I think the Tenuki here is also well timed. Okay, very interesting. Wow, so this is a very complicated fight. This seems like a trade that you will see in professional or very advanced players' games. So I really admired the fighting spirit from both players. White choosing to play the 3-3 when black plays a kick. Normal move is obviously descend, but this is a good exchange for black. A small thing here, I think it would be nice for black to make the clamp exchange and just to exchange everything. Later, black can potentially jump or hane or choose to connect in the corner. It just a beneficial exchange for black. Right here, I'll consider just to capture everything for black. I think, yeah, at this point, white's dead. Maybe black is afraid of a squeeze. But if white plays a hane, this is really not scary for black. Typically, the ideal squeeze will be the cut. So let's say black gets trick and play this move, and white can potentially get a nice seal. But actually, if white cut here, black can just ladder the zone and allow white to escape from there. Because white really lost a lot from the Panuki, black can just keep fighting. Yeah, something like this, for example. So the Kosumi doesn't make a lot of sense because it's still not sent here against the corner. Seems like white's getting some initiative on the outside. So I think white blunder here. Attach is fine. I think all white needs to do is to block. We can treat this corner as something like this, and this is a live shape. Yeah, white can hane and then white can jump. This looks like there might be something. So the best thing, the ideal case for black is probably a ko. But white can connect, actually. So right now there's not even a ko. This is alive. And what else can black do? Yeah, this clamp also doesn't work. This is alive. So white really just needs a block. Yeah, this empty triangle is not a great shape. All of a sudden white's collapsing because this turns from unconditional life to now ko. Oh, and then this Atari is not a great ko threat. White wants to extend for sure. This will create more ko threats, and black will eventually have to spend a move to fill the liberty. And white could have Aji on the right too. So white lost a lot of points here. Yeah, so black definitely gained from the ko, but it's worth considering whether capturing is the biggest move right now, because black really wants to play in the center as well. If white captures here and black plays another move and white connects, even at this point, white is not completely alive, because if black, through attacking, gain a lot of moves in the center, black can still try to kill the corner. Capturing this stone doesn't do anything by itself. So this is one situation where fixing the ko may not be the ideal case. The issue here is that the corner is not that big by itself, maybe 20-30 points, and there's a very urgent fight in the center. So from white's perspective, white should probably still kill the center. This is definitely the best ko threat for white. White lost some in the corner, but capturing the center is a huge gain. Overall, it's definitely still playable for white. Yeah, so black got the vital point, but I'm not sure about Atari from this side. I think black needs to escape. As long as black runs out here, white has 2 weak groups to deal with. This will be pretty troublesome for white. Okay, let's see what white's plan is. Okay, so white tried to sacrifice, which is fine, but the exact sequence was a little off. So black just need to play simply. Atari here, Atari here. This is also Sente. So black will need to fix somewhere. Maybe black connect once. Actually, black cannot connect. So black will Atari. I can connect. And this, the shape will evolve to something like this. Of course, white can Tenuki at this point. So notice the CO is very complete. White has a very strong shape. White can even consider just to Atari here, and then leave it at that. And later, this move could become Sente, or something like this. This will be the best way to sacrifice the 6 stones, and then Tenuki. Here black missed a big chance, really good chance. Black can extend up actually. If white tries to kill the 3 stone, black can escape. There's liberty shortage. So in effect, white basically passed locally. This could be really devastating for white if black played correctly. Yeah, in the game black wasted a move in the black capturing. So that kind of left white off the hook. Yeah, so this move is still huge. Separating, but at least it's not game ending as in the other variation, because black wasted a move capturing. But overall, black is doing really well. Yeah, I don't know what exactly happened for white here. I think Atari here would still be the biggest. It fixes the center, and now white has a lot of potential as well. Yeah, so of course white got this move, so now white caught up some for sure. Okay, so black reduced the left side in Sente and then come back to the right side. But my question is, what happened in the bottom? Why wouldn't black Hane here? If white cut, maybe black, this creates a lot of aji for black. Yeah, perhaps black can capture this corner group. This seems pretty big. This will be a big territory swing. Or turn and then play here potentially. Yeah, if the bottom dies like this, then the extension on the right will be too small for sure. So maybe white found a chance. Yeah, so from earlier where black almost had this game in the back to now, the game is very uncertain. And in a few more moves, black didn't play the ideal sequence to maximize the aji, to profit from the aji here. The game is basically not that even, and then even became in white's favor. So black started out really well, but lost some steam in the center. Because black played a little too conservatively and didn't have the best reading in the bottom. When the board is still very open, I think it's important to not be too complacent. We have all lost many winnable games from this type of mistakes. Here, it could be a chance for white, because white can have this move Sente. There could be a cut. Yeah, that was a little mistake. Here, this is the same idea. If black make this exchange, then white can push down. When you see liberty and shape issues like this, it's important to pause and think about ways to exploit potential Sente moves. Now, so notice these exchanges didn't get white anything. And a small thing, black can actually attack Atari and then make this exchange. This is a really nice sequence before connecting. White might not connect at 2 and leave it at that, but notice compared to the game, black has an extra endgame here. If black just connects, as in the game, white will never connect here later. So in effect, when black pushes here, white will block and just sacrifice that one stone. So it's important to make good exchanges before you try to fix something, before your opponent's stone becomes light. Yeah, threaten Atari before fixing to make the group heavy. This is a very common technique. Yeah, some endgame issues. I think Atari here is not that big. It captures 2 stone, which is 4 points. It could be a reverse Sente or something. But even in that case, I think invading to the right side would be bigger. And there are big endgames on the left, for example, blocking and of course fixing the clamp. Tiger's Monster. Fixing the clamp. So through these 2 Sente exchanges, black caught up a lot again. Wow, here black can actually cut up this stone. Yeah, that was a mistake for white. Several points. The biggest move for white now definitely to block, because otherwise black can continue to come in. Okay, so this is probably white's last mistake. There's a liberty shortage here, so which white should definitely exploit. This will be at least Sente for white. In the game, black connected, but this move is not necessary. Black can actually just Tenuki and play something else. Capturing this stone is only worth 1 point. Notice white cannot wedge here because black can connect. So then black still has all these points, all these spots with points. So these are 4 points here. Versus in this variation, black has to fill in a bunch of times. Only 2 points versus 4. In an area like this, that makes a big difference. It seems like black clawed his way back from the endgame. Yeah, so both sides missed the biggest endgame of Atari in the bottom, and then black just gained. Won by a little bit from that. Is there any questions on this game or any previous, or the previous 2 games? I thought this game would be pretty unbalanced after White blunder, but actually became really close. So it was a really interesting game overall.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was white here.
Okay.
Was there anything better I could have done to stop the invasion or the reduction on the left-hand side? Because it got quite far.
Oh, just the jump here?
Yeah.
There isn't that much you could have done differently, honestly, because you gave black the tiger's mouth. What I'll recommend is to not make this exchange. So notice the jump was only possible because you gave black the b5 move. So if you don't do that, just Atari, it won't be that easy for black to invade.
Right, thank you.
Yeah. But I think you got the vital point by Atari, so I think this is the most important thing. The left, that's more of a minor detail. As long as you have this Atari, what you say in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other questions? Okay, if not, I'll end the recording here. Thank you all for coming tonight, and best of luck in the future NAOL seasons.